Well, good morning. It's the appointed hour for the meeting of the MAF3 Citizens Advisory Board of March the 28th, 2019. We'll call the meeting to order. You have been provided with copies of the proposed minutes of our previous meeting. Are there additions or corrections? It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes as submitted. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The minutes are approved. We have a couple of items that I'm asking unanimous consent for us to change the order of the meeting today. First, I want to mention that you would have received an amendment to the agenda, adding the revenue and expenditure report and the budget and obligations report, and I'm thinking we'll do that at the top of the agenda rather than at the bottom. And then secondly, we have our friends here from the YMCA and who are here to talk to us about the item that is number 10 on the agenda, and I'm asking for unanimous consent to let them go forward. Are we agreed? Sure. All right, we're agreed. David, introduce our guest.
So this is item 10. It's recommend resolution authorizing negotiation of contract with Young Men's Christian Association of Greater Oklahoma City, MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 4 operating partner, project M3-H005A. So the process is the same that we have done for the other 3 wellness centers. A committee was formed, a request for proposals was sent out. We received 3 proposals. The committee went through those proposals and then submitted questions to those 3 and then interviewed the 3. And the committee has recommended that the YMCA with their partner Integris Health be the operator for Wellness Center 4. So today Kelly Kay is here from the YMCA just to show you what they're proposing. I'd like to turn it over to Kelly.
Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you, Chairman McDaniel, and Citizens Advisory Board members. We're so thankful for this opportunity to be in front of you today. This has been something we've been hoping for a very long time, and we're very excited to bring this presentation today, and really appreciate your flexibility. This happened to fall on the day of our finance and board meetings today too, so I appreciate you allowing us to move through the agenda quickly with you. I did want to introduce quickly a couple of other folks who are going to help present the presentation today. First is Steve Petty, who is the Administrative Director of Community Wellness with Integris, and then Angela Jones, who is our YMCA Association Director of Health and Wellness Initiatives, as well as the Executive Director for our Healthy Living Center at Integris, which was the former Pacer facility at the Baptist campus that the Y now operates. So just really quickly, I've just moved through this presentation really fast. This is about an hour-long presentation that I won't take that much time today for you. But the YMCA, this is an exciting year as we celebrate our 130th anniversary in Oklahoma City, and I think this is a wonderful picture, a historic picture from Camp Classen down in the Arbuckles. But I think the important message here is just, you know, the city and the YMCA, our history is so intertwined, and we've worked together on so many different initiatives over the years, and we're very excited to take this partnership to a whole new level. Everything that we do at the Y is really focused in 3 areas. Youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. Most everything we do actually crosses over into 2 or 3 of the focus areas, but as you know, we serve people at all ages of their lives, but this center will allow us to really specifically focus on seniors, helping them to stay engaged in the community, to age in place, and again, to have a focus on staying involved in the community and aging healthfully. Just to give you a sense of our YMCA, we have 16 locations around the metro area, 15 spread out around the community, and then of course I mentioned our medically based Healthy Living Center there at Baptist Hospital. Camp Classen I've already mentioned, our Child Development Center at the downtown YMCA, our Military Welcome Center at Will Rogers World Airport, which is another wonderful partnership with the city, and then Also a great avenue for seniors who, we have about 70 seniors who volunteer at that center on a weekly basis. Our Lincoln Park Senior Center, which is another wonderful partnership between the city and the Oklahoma County Nutrition Program through the area-wide agency on aging that provides the meals there on a daily basis. We've had that partnership in place since 1986. We operate 16 fitness centers around the metro with just under 1,600 pieces of cardio and strength equipment that we maintain on a daily basis, 9 basketball gymnasiums. We operate and maintain 13 indoor swimming pools as well as 3 outdoor pools that we operate in partnership with some municipalities around the area. Throughout all of our facilities, we offer a variety of land and water group exercise classes on a weekly basis, many of those focused specifically on seniors, over 600 classes that we offer across our association. So there are several programs, and I'm going to turn it over to Angela just for a second because we have several programs that are specifically focused on seniors, and I'm going to let her talk about those just briefly.
All right, so in addition to the programs and services, points of service that we have across our YMCA association, you'll see here some programs that are considered evidence-based programs and specifically work to serve this population. The over 50 population is where we tend to see most of our participants. So you'll see on this slide just a variety of classes that we provide. Silver Sneakers are land group classes. Enhanced Fitness is for arthritis. Move for Better Balance, or Tai Chi, is for fall prevention. Togetherhood, although it's not a physical activity program, it is a way to engage active older adults in community service projects. So when we look at social isolation and those factors that happen as someone ages, this is an exceptional way for us that we've found to get people more involved in their community. So Togetherhood is something that we're very proud of. Pedaling for Parkinson's is a relatively new evidence-based program. It allows us to work with individuals diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. We have found a reduction in tremors for individuals who participate in the cycling class up to 48, sometimes 72 hours after the class. Exercise is Medicine is our most recent program that we've initiated in coordination with Integris at our Healthy Living Center at the Integris Baptist campus, and we feel very encouraged that this is a program that's going to be able to strengthen our relationship with the healthcare system, directly connect us to physician referrals. Oh, I went backwards. There we go. All right, so this next slide talks about the new model, sort of the new wave of the YMCA. Typically, I think historically, people have found us as a gym and swim and kind of focused more on youth activities. This really is a driving force for us right now, is to be considered a community integrated health model. So with that, we can, as I said, further link healthcare to community resources such as the Y, with that direct referral from the physician. It increases access to care, lowers medical costs, prevents and addresses chronic disease, and reduces the effects of social determinants of health, such as that social isolation that I mentioned. Wanted to point out one of the things we're really proud of over the last decade really is we've improved upon our ability to capture data. Something that's very important to us is to ensure the satisfaction of the participants, also our instructors, making sure that there's some great synergy between those groups. So we do participant satisfaction surveys, instructor satisfaction surveys, functional or physical assessments, which everybody enjoys. Promise 29, which is our self-efficacy survey that we do. That's something that we work specifically with our participants to ensure that we're looking at other factors under other dimensions of wellness, such as sleep, depression. We're able to look at all those factors as well. And then, of course, our membership enrollment and retention we always focus on. I'm going to turn it back over to Kelly.
Thank you, Angela. This slide just gives you a bit of an example of our organizational capacity from a financial standpoint and the model that we have to operate our facilities. You can see we've seen tremendous growth in revenue over the last several years. Our current budget for this year is just under $29 million. We spend between $1 and $1.4 million each year in maintaining our facilities. And we also, it's I think, very important to point out that no one has ever turned away at the Y due to an inability to pay. And this last year, we provided just under $3.5 million in financial assistance, and that's for people who can't afford to pay for the full membership fees or program fees. And so that is a way that about 3.1 of that is direct scholarships to help subsidize a membership or program participant, and then a little over 300,000 of that is our community outreach programs that we do that we don't have any charge for. You don't pay to sign up for. You can just participate in. I think the other thing that's a real strength of the Y is we have a really healthy mix of earned revenue as well as contributed revenue, grants, and other forms to really balance our budget and make sure that everything that we do happens. We had just under $1.7 million in contributed support last year. We have a very strong endowment, which helps us to subsidize our operations as well as strengthen and maintain our facilities. Just under $8.5 million balance in our endowment, and then a reserve balance of a little over $1.3 million because the 16 facilities that I mentioned are just under 700,000 square feet that we operate and maintain on a daily basis. So that's a very important part of our operating model. We are a membership organization. We are very intentional about that. We feel we can have the greatest impact on people's lives when they belong, and we're able to impact their lives in so many more ways. So, but really membership is really about meeting people where they are and the needs that they have, whether that's a need for some achievement, inspiration, support, a place to belong, feeling included, building those connections, and very intentional about building relationships, but ultimately with the goal of strengthening our community. Just to give you a little bit of a sense of our reach, this next slide just gives you a sense of that, and our penetration into the Oklahoma City metro area, I think, is pretty tremendous. Just this last year, we had 136,561 individuals who were a member of the Y, another 56,000 that signed up for a program, and those are all just counted one time. So that's an unduplicated number in the metro area of 192,636 people who actually signed up to do something at the Y. That doesn't include all of those other community programs that I talked about that they can just show up and do. And of that, I think it's very important to point out, too, those who are eligible for this partnership with the MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center, 50-plus members and program participants was 34,167. So the Y already is a major contributor in our community to senior health and wellness, and we're really excited about this partnership to take that to the next level. The other thing that we're really excited about is the partner that we're going to be working with, and with that I'm going to turn it over to Steve Petty just to talk briefly about Integris' role in this.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm going to go through this really quickly. Integris is the largest health system in Oklahoma. As many of you know, I'm just going to go through this. This shows some of our clinics, some of our specialty care clinics. These are some of our specialties. Integris is a nonprofit hospital system, so giving back to the community is something I'm very proud of because our mission is to improve the health of the people and communities we serve. So I want to show you just a little bit about our partnership. We're very excited with Integris being the only locally owned hospital in Oklahoma, the largest system, and working with the Y, who is the state's premier fitness center. We joined forces years ago to start working on health and wellness, not only for seniors, but across the family. We've proven success with this partnership, and to be able to work together on this MAPS Senior Center is very exciting for us because we're really looking at the senior population and to create a healthy movement for aging. Integris has had a senior life wellness, or what used to be called Third Age Life Center, since 1986. So we've been doing that across the metro and across the system for many years, working with that senior population. These are just some of the programs that we're doing at Integris and at the Healthy Living Center with the YMCA. So we already have a very great partnership with them. We're seeing a lot of good impact and a lot of good outcomes with our evidence-based programs that we're doing with the Y. These are processes and programs that we're hoping to replicate not only at the new senior center, but we're also working with the current senior centers, the one on Rockwell and Pete White. We've been fortunate enough to be asked to go there and help out with some of the chronic disease management classes. At the Healthy Living Center, this is a concept. We were so happy when we decided to move PACER over to the YMCA, the Healthy Living Center. This is a model that some Ys across the state have, or excuse me, across the country have seen that medical component really helping with not only the prevention and chronic disease management, but the fitness and wellness and taking care of the whole person. These are just some of the programs that we are working with the Healthy Living Center. Exercise is medicine, which is what Angela had told you about. All of our Integris employees across the state and get to be Y members if they would like. We also have an evidence-based national diabetes prevention program, and those are programs that we're trying to do across the metro. Jim Thorpe Rehab just opened a clinic at the an outpatient clinic at the Healthy Living Center, and we're hoping to replicate that at the new center as well. Cardiac rehab is why PACER became a medically based fitness center, and we're glad that the YMCA, when they took it over about 3 years ago, have kept that there, and it's been very successful. And then our bariatrics program. So we have a lot going on together, and we're so thankful to be able to do this with the Y. So thank you.
So just in conclusion, we are very excited about this potential partnership, and I think really in closing, just to speak about the brand of the YMCA in this partnership. You know, as you know, the YMCA does have a rich history and a very trusted brand in our community, especially with seniors. We are a 501c3 charity, so we really are focused on sustainability and philanthropy. We have a wide range of services that I think really strengthen our ability to improve quality of life in the community. Very strong safety standards. Our pools are guarded at all times by certified lifeguards. Our fitness centers are maintained, and our members are helped by certified fitness staff and personal trainers. We collaborate well with others, as we've demonstrated through some of the partnerships. We're very intentional about building relationships and bringing together community leaders for the common good. And as Steve mentioned, I think really the strength that we're most excited about, MAPS 3 has really created a brand for improving quality of life in the community for our citizens. And I think with Integris' focus on improving the health of all of our citizens, and then of course the Y devoted to improving quality of life, I think bringing those three brands together can have a tremendous impact on that true movement for healthy aging in our community. So with that, I'll turn it over. I did have one quick slide I wanted to show. This is being intentional about building relationships. Sometimes we have unexpected outcomes, and this is a couple that actually met at our Healthy Living Center, and as you can see, Jim proposed to Melanie, and she did say yes just a couple of weeks ago, so we wanted to throw that in just for fun. But anyway, be happy to answer any questions from the group.
Questions? Anything, Mike?
Not so much a question, just an add-on. Of course, I think I speak for the subcommittee in saying that we're certainly very excited about the Y and Integris teaming up for this next wellness center. I know we've had some discussion about location. I hope that still continues. But it takes nothing away from the credibility and the reputation of these two institutions in our community that have been devoted to the kinds of things, of course, that I think the senior wellness centers are all about. So I want to thank you guys, Kelly, again for the outstanding presentation.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Well, Kelly, thank you for being here with us today. We really appreciate it. I'll just say, on the location issue, we are were handed a plan 9 years ago of having something in each quadrant of the city, and we're hoping that you guys will help us fulfill that plan.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one thing I'd like to add is this is just the authorization for us to start negotiations, so there's still more process in this. We'll come back through the subcommittee and to this board and to council with the binding term sheet that we've done with all of the operators, and then eventually the full contract. So this is just our authorization to start that.
Shall we approve it? Been moved and seconded. We approve the resolution. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. We look forward to seeing a lot more of you guys. We really appreciate the chance to work with you. Thank you. All right, that's going to bring us then to item 14, the amendment to the to your agenda for today. It is the Revenue and Expenditure Report and the MAPS 3 Budget and Obligation Report. David, any comments on that?
Just real quick, the MAPS 3 Revenue Expenditure Report for the period ending February 28th. On the revenue side for the month, $543,574. Fiscal year, $4,686,224, and total $828,523,176. For the expenditure side for the month, we have $7,426,403. Fiscal year of $91,874,650, and total on the expenditures as of February 28th of $526,529,568. You also have your budget and obligations report, and I'll try to answer any questions if you have any.
Michael Adams, any questions?
Not from me. Maybe we accept the report.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that we accept the report as presented. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The report is received. All right, that puts us back at the top of the agenda then. So we're now at item 3, David.
Item 3 is recommend resolution approving change order number 10, MAPS 3 Convention Center, increase of $170,037, project M3-C003. Pardon me. So this is a change order with some various things that you would expect to see during construction. The main item is item number 4. It's $125,000. As we started putting up panels and anticipating the storefront, the installer brought some issues to our attention, and mainly there's nothing wrong with the design, but in order to provide a more robust, something that's better as far as maintenance on the joints, instead of just using regular caulked joints between those panels, this is more of an expansion type system. And went through that with the architect, and they believe that it is of significant value to the project. There's some upgraded audio-visual equipment, wiring modifications. This comes with the approval from the subcommittee.
Questions for David? Well, we did have a convention center subcommittee meeting this week, and we did review this in detail and heard from the architects and their representatives, and that does come with our recommendation. Shall we approve it? It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Next item, David.
Item 4 is recommend resolution approving preliminary report, MAPS 3 South Robinson Avenue Reconstruction Project M3-C010. This is really what we're calling the last piece of the puzzle in that area between the convention center and the new park, Scissortail Park. I'd like to point out that both of those subcommittees saw this preliminary report, and one approved it, the other one agreed to send it on. Mark Long is here today. He's with Smith Roberts Balderschweiler to hit some of the highlights of the preliminary report. I'd like to invite him up.
Mark.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the advisory board members. We're excited to be here to present about the Robinson Avenue reconstruction as part of the convention center and park area. An overview of the project is that on South Robinson, we had an extensive amount of, our first task was to coordinate with all of the other design projects that were going on, either MAPS or non-MAPS. That extended through the convention center, the park, the public works projects. There's the Omni Hotel and other MAPS projects that were all tied together. The project extends from the existing I-40 bridge to the south up to Southwest 3rd, which is now the Oklahoma Boulevard. It has a proposed roundabout, bike lanes, street side parking, and a pedestrian signal. It's just under 0.4 miles, and the current budget is a little over $2.7 million. And like David said, this project is like a jigsaw puzzle. This is the last piece, and like all good puzzle that are fun to do, we started with the outside edges and worked our way in. And so this is the center piece that we'll be working with all of the other projects, and this is an overlay of all the mosaic of the different projects that we had to coordinate in order to be able to accomplish the project. Key design points are that there will be a roundabout at what is Southwest 7th Street with mountable curbs, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We're going to have to modify the existing I-40 bridge retaining walls slightly. We are providing bike lanes on both sides of Robinson. That was one of the very important things through the City of Oklahoma City Department coordination. There'll be street side parking and food truck lanes, which you've probably already seen as part of the park project. There will be a convention center drop-off lane, which is part of the convention center. There'll be a dedicated turn lane at Oklahoma Boulevard to facilitate the access to and from the boulevard, as well as 10-foot multimodal, multi-purpose sidewalks on both sides. There is an old water line, a 12-inch line that runs under Robinson. It's one of the last utilities that has not been replaced, and that will be done as part of this project as well. For the roundabout, there was a traffic study that was furnished and coordinated with the Alliance and MAPS. In that, the roundabout was seen as a very feasible way of moving a large volume of traffic quickly and efficiently for convention goers and for park users. A single lane roundabout design was chosen to keep that flowing. It's also suitable for the trucks. We have a design truck that we looked at, and I'll show on the next slide, but we're providing a protected bike lane on the west side, and then on the east side, the bike lane will merge into the vehicular traffic, and that's part of the design criteria. If you're a cyclist, you can actually negotiate a roundabout as with other vehicles, or you can choose on the east side to get off onto the multi-purpose sidewalk and walk your bike until you get through the roundabout, and then on the south side get back into the bike lane. And then we're having mountable curbs on the roundabout so that we can accommodate larger vehicles, buses, vans, trucks that are for deliveries. That's one of the big concerns about being able to have the access. The design truck, a WB50 truck, that's your average run-of-the-mill semi-truck, but we also looked at a larger length truck, a WB67, and so that analysis was done so that we could actually see physically how those trucks will go through. That's why we have the mountable curb situation, so that those larger vehicles can be able to negotiate the roundabout turn as well as cars. On the east side, you'll see there towards the lower end to the right, that turn in the retaining wall, we're going to need to modify that slightly in order to be able to have pedestrian access and fit the roundabout in. And then we'll modify some of the west retaining wall. The park has already taken down some of that as part of their construction, and we'll be modifying some of that as well. This is a closer photo of showing the continuous bike lanes on both sides of Robinson. And again, there'll be a 10-foot sidewalk that will allow room for both pedestrians and bicyclists. At what was Southwest 5th Street, which is now the main entrance to the convention center, there's a signalized intersection proposed that is for pedestrians. It will stop the vehicular traffic in order to be able to have pedestrians cross freely between the park and the convention center. We're also providing additional crosswalks at Southwest 6th and Southwest 4th. So you'll have basically a 2-block area between all three streets that will allow for large volumes of pedestrians to be able to go back and forth between the park and the convention center. Of course, we go to City Council on April the 9th. Our general schedule is that we intend to bid this project in the late summer of 2019, so a few months from now, and beginning construction in the fall of 2019. And with that, I can answer any questions that you may have.
Questions? Kim?
Mark, what is a Continental crosswalk?
Let me go back and I will show you that. So if you look there where the pedestrian signal is shown, you see the horizontal bars, they're the large white stripes that you can see up there and you see out on the street. That's the term for that type of striping. And under city ordinance and state law, if you have a Continental crosswalk, if you have that type of pavement marking, a vehicle is required to stop for a pedestrian, whether there's a signal there or not. So that does allow for additional pedestrian safety when you're doing a crossing.
Michael?
Scheduled completion, I assume it will coordinate with the convention center?
Yes, and so that's, our goal was to start in the fall of 2019. We are anticipating hopefully being able to have this project completed by June of 2020, which gives us a little bit of flexibility before the fall opening of the convention center. We'd like to have this construction out of the way so that the finalization process of opening the convention center and the hotel and all those activities will already have the road in place.
And I have a further question onto that. When we say fall of 2019, are we talking September, October?
September, October,
Okay.
yes.
Reason asking is that fall of 2019 is when the park is slated for its grand opening. So we would be hopeful that construction may begin after those investments.
And that's what we're targeting, why we want to have our plans in, and then by the time we go through all the approval processes, then we can go ahead and have it go out to bid. And then it is intended that we will not start this construction until after the grand opening of the park.
Thanks for making me smile.
Okay.
Well, the convention center heard this presentation, our subcommittee heard this week, and I do want to say we've been very interested in the drop-off lane and how that was going to work. And we were very interested in how you got from the convention center to the park and back, and they have addressed those things in a real meaningful way. Our subcommittee had a lot of questions for Mark, but we have endorsed this wholeheartedly, and think that they found a solution to all the things we were interested in. I congratulate you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Shall we approve it? It's been moved and seconded. We approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Next item, David.
Item 5 is recommend resolution receiving consultant review committee report, MAPS 3 Convention Center Building System Commissioning, and authorizing negotiation of contract with Frankfurt Short Brugia Associates, PC, project M3-C012. You may be familiar with Frankfurt Short Brugia. We usually refer to them as FSB. This is a consultant that will look at all the mechanical systems and electronic systems within the convention center as it's being built, make sure they're properly started, make sure that everything works, rather than relying on the contractor that is building the building. This will be another set of eyes that will be out there to make sure everything works on the day that we open the facility. So this, the selection was done in the same manner as we do for most A&E contracts, shortlisted, interviews, so forth. It comes with the recommendation from the subcommittee.
Questions? Shall we approve it? It's been moved and seconded. We approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Next item, David.
Next item is recommend resolution, joint resolution approving change order number 8, MAPS 3 Upper Park, increase of $457,666.22, project M3-P006, WC-0920. So this is a change order that comes from coordination with the operator and then the foundation that operates and oversees the park, and then the operator that will be running the cafe. So some of the things that they wanted to change was upgrading appliances so that they can serve the menu that they want to serve. And then item 2 is more building type modifications. They needed felt like they needed a larger area for people to sit. Also wanted to enclose some space, more space, so that they can operate in winter months also. So this is just the changes that were required to get it to that point. The park did not have a quorum, but those present recommended us approve it.
Okay. Kim, any comments?
I think this is wonderful that we're getting to look at these improvements now before our park is built. And certainly, it's always difficult with the chicken and the egg because the design came first, we got an operator, and now we certainly have a wonderful tenant that I think will bring great things. And I'm happy to move this for approval.
It's been moved and we approve it. Is there a second? It's been seconded. Is there further discussion or any questions? All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 7.
Item 7 is recommend resolution accepting Maps 3 Upper Park Lake lining and placing the maintenance bond into effect, project M3-P006B. So continuing with the park, recall that we received a grant through the planning department to help us with this liner. The liner obviously is in the lake. So it's complete.
As it should be.
Yes, it should be. It's complete, it's been tested, and we're ready to accept the project.
Is it leaking?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry. All right. Kim, any comments?
Other than, we did spend a lot of time removing water from the lake, and then now we're ready to proceed with putting water back in.
All right. Other questions? Shall we approve this? Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 8, David.
Item 8 is recommend resolution approving change order number 2 and amendment number 2, Maps 3, Phase 3, Project 3, Trail Improvements, Lake Draper Trail, increase of $655,039.93, Project M3-T003B. If you recall, we split the Draper Trail into 3 different projects. This is the furthest north project. It's probably the most difficult in that it goes through the most wooded area. It goes through some environmentally sensitive areas and some wetlands. And as we completed the design and then got out in the field, realized that there was a lot more water that could potentially go across the trail than what was anticipated. And comments continue to come from the subcommittee and from the Parks Department that they really don't want water sheet flowing across the trail because it brings mud and results in dirt on the trail. So it can be some debris and possible washouts. So this money is for additional grading, some additional clearing, lots of different items you can see in the change order and the amendment itself. But it is because once they got in there and cleaned out the trees, we realized there needed to be more ditches and better drainage on that section of the trail. The first third of the trail, I can tell you, is about 98% complete. The second one is about 75% complete, and this one's about half done. So we need to continue on with this work, cut those ditches, and get better drainage on this project.
Questions? David, refresh our memory about what budget impact this has on a change order of this size. Where do we stand on that?
We're still within the budget for the Draper Trail. Whenever we did the 3 projects, we just split the money that we had budgeted for the whole project into 3.
Yes.
Now realize that maybe we should have allocated a little more to that northern trail because of these clearing issues. So we have money still left from the west trail, which was pretty much wide open.
Yes.
And we still have money from that, and we still have some money from the eastern trail also. So we're still within the overall budget within the trail itself.
Okay. Shall we approve it?
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 9, David.
Item 9 is recommend resolution receiving consultant review committee report, Maps 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 4, and authorizing negotiation of a contract with GSB Incorporated, project M3-H005. Again, this went through the usual process for selecting architects and engineers. GSB was selected as what the committee felt like was the best architect for this project. Remember that GSB did the first wellness center, the Healthy Living Wellness Center, so they have a lot of good experience in this. And this comes with the recommendation from the subcommittee.
Been moved and seconded that we approve it. Are there questions, further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Just remind you, we've already done agenda item number 10, so we're moving to agenda item number 11. David?
Item 11 is recommend resolution receiving consultant review committee report, Maps 3 Whitewater Facility, or Riversport Rapids, and Oklahoma River Boathouse District improvements, and authorizing negotiation of a contract with Hornby, Blatt, Architects, PC, project M3-R008. So this is the beginning of the projects that we will do with the additional funds that were allocated towards the river area, the Boathouse Foundation, and specifically for Riversport Rapids. Again, usual process for selection of architects. This project will be for that second floor remodel and finish out. It will be for potentially a zip line and some more water features, climbing walls, fountains, play areas, those kind of things.
All right, so this is excess money.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, further, any questions for David?
I recommend approval.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 12, David.
Item 12 is recommend authorizing purchase and installation of channel unistrut corrosion protection, Maps 3, Oklahoma River Whitewater Facility, Riversport Rapids, $109,392, project M3-R009B. In order to prevent corrosion of the unistrut, which is a channel that's in the bottom of the water channels, and it's what's used to hook the rapid blocks to that makes the rapids. So in order to prevent corrosion of those, we're installing a cathodic protection system, which is essentially connecting to those unistruts and bringing a line out and putting in a piece of sacrificial metal, so the rust will occur on the metal that is outside of the facility and will prevent the rusting of the metal that is within the Riversport Rapids. We're bringing this to you. It won't go to council because we're doing it off the city contract, but it is spending MAPS money, so I'm bringing it to you for approval.
Is sacrificial metal an engineering term, David?
It is. I'm sorry.
I just never heard that. That's very instructional. Yeah. Dee, any comments?
Yes, we feel like we should go ahead and do everything we can to protect our investment for the city, and it needs to be done fast. And they do have a tremendous amount of work trying to get that water to look clean, and they are on their way.
So this not only prevents the corrosion, but also helps what I'll call the quality of the water.
No, sir, not necessarily. It's really just protection of that. But what Ms. Morales is talking about is that we have another project that you'll see soon for the filtration, and that we'll be cleaning that water up.
All right. Shall we approve it? It's been moved and seconded that we approve. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 13, David.
Item 13 is recommend resolution accepting the MAPS 3 modern streetcar mainline project and placing the maintenance bond into effect, project M3-S007. So this is a great day for us in accepting the mainline portion of the streetcar. Very excited to bring this to you today. Doug Smith with Jacobs Engineering is here, been in front of us many times. This might be the last time.
Well, Doug, it's been a long track.
It has.
And we're glad to have you here. You're always welcome. Delighted to have you.
Hopefully I've gauged this presentation just right.
Okay.
Right back at
Right back at me. Love it.
All right. Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. Always good to be back with you again. And we are celebrating today our recommendation of the final acceptance of the mainline contract. It's of course, the final acceptance is something that we've been working on since opening. We, of course, opened in mid-December. and we've been working on the final contract items to make sure that the city is getting everything that should be included. And so that's the basis of our recommendation today. The Mainline is the largest contract on the streetcar project, and so it's good to be able to get this one in the books. And so I'll be talking about some of the things that we accomplished as we built the project, and then talk about some of the successes, and actually look a little bit into the future on some of this. So to start out, let's do a little bit of a history reminder here. The way streetcar projects normally go is you select a vehicle, and then you build a building to be able to store the vehicles, and you build a main line to put them on, and then you get all your vehicles to come in and use those facilities. So it's this dance between select the vehicle, build everything, and receive the vehicles. And of course, we did that same thing here. So all the way back in the fall of 2014, we had selected the vehicle, and then at that point, the design for the building and the main line was authorized. So that was right there at the end of 14. Then during the year of 2015, we were in the process of designing this, and then there was a little issue that came up in terms of the location of the convention center. And so we had to pause for a few months and figure out what to do about that. We did a realignment. We worked through it. We came up with the route we have today, and then, so that was in February of 16. And then by around the middle of 16, we were ready to go ahead with a pre-qualification of our main line and our electrical systems contractors. So we received those documents. We created a pre-qualified list, went ahead and completed the design in August of 16. At that time, my footnote there is we forecasted that November of 18, we thought we could be done constructing it. And we're real proud to look back at that milestone and say that we actually did accomplish that leading up to our December opening. So that is a success. We did a mainline construction notice to proceed in November of 16, again hoping that we could build everything in 2 years. And then we started hitting milestones. So you can see there milestones A, B, and C, how they were accomplished at the dates listed, and then the milestone D1 through 3 is where the final substantial completion of those big milestones that allow us to operate. We hit those on December 1st, December 14th opening, and now we measured our final completion milestones on February 21st. In terms of budget, we had estimated before we opened the bids that we were going to be at about $57 million. We were concerned about the budget at that time, so we created some deductive alternates that we could employ if we were over budget with that bid. And so those alternates, you can see there are 1 through 4. We didn't have to use those deductive alternates. We were able to go ahead and take the base bid and include everything that we needed in the project. And those have turned out to be huge benefits to our program. So the Y at Hudson, that's where the boulevard intersects, and that's where the streetcars can make the left turn at the end of their day and go ahead and go on into the maintenance facility without having to back up. And that's also a huge feature in our system in that every time a streetcar goes out on the route, it's switching ends. So when it goes into the garage and it comes back out, the driver goes from the A end to the B end, which means that every time you see a streetcar on the route, it's reversed from the previous day. And that allows our doors to get even wear on both sides. So that particular feature allowed us to include that. Our Hudson OCS, the electrical wire over the non-revenue track down there, that's a big benefit to the project we were able to conclude. And the OCS at the maintenance facility on a storage track so they can charge cars while they're on that storage track. And then TPSS4 on the north side up on 12th Street. Huge advantage to provide the electrical system backup to the project. So we have those 3 substations on the north end now. So we got it open at $50 million, and then in the 2 years that went by, we had change orders and amendments adding to the $6.5 million you could see there. And those were mostly comprised of dealing with unforeseen items. We had a lot of utilities that we didn't know would be there. We had pole foundations that we had to relocate. So working with a lot of that added more cost. And then we were able to add some embellishments to the project to make everything better. For example, we built the 5th Street turnback, which has a huge advantage to the expandability of the system. So that was an investment that was made as we went. So there's your final contract amount at right around $56.5 million. As we went, these are some of the main construction things we did. They installed the rail and the reinforcement. That's what they call the skeletonized track. And of course, they embedded it in the concrete at the whole 5.5 miles that we built. And then they did everything along the sides. So here's a shot there in Bricktown of filling in pavers around the sides. And then when that was all done, we celebrated and we set a plaque out in the street up there on 5th Street, and we had a ceremony to commemorate that. We constructed 22 platforms. You can see the formwork there. You can see the tactile strips put in on the end of the platforms. And then we would come in and set the pylons on each one, get everything connected, set a shelter, and then on the bottom right there is one of our finished shelters, and we did 22 of those. We did overhead contact system construction. So we put in pole foundations. I think the number is 238. I've got it on a later slide. 238 of those pole foundations. And then we set the poles, we strung the wire. And of course, that's our own on-wire sections in Bricktown and in Midtown. Also, something that we did on this project that most projects don't, and that is we had this joint use pole concept. When the leaders of the project toured Portland and they saw what they had done, which is they basically put in separate poles for streetcar wire and street lights, they noticed that there was just a lot of poles. There was a lot of pole clutter, as we refer to it. And the Public Works Department and Maps Department said, we don't want that on this project. So we did install joint use poles. So you'll see on our streetcar, our OCS poles, we also have street lights hanging on a lot of them. And that's the benefit where we join those poles together, which again makes our streetscapes look just a little bit better. We had to modify circuits to do that. We added new circuits, and again, pole clutter minimized. Our traction power system, a few pictures here of the preparation. You can see the foundations going in at each of the 6 substation sites. Then we would get the substation delivered in as it's a modular building, basically. It was delivered and set into place. Then it would be tested and commissioned. You can see there one of the green ones there at the Bricktown ballpark site. And then finally we would be all hooked up in power and ready for service. And there's a shot of TPSS-4. And then when all that was done, we were ready to start testing it. And the top left shot is of that non-revenue track. And I want to say a word about that. It's a real unique thing about our Oklahoma City project to have this half-mile of non-revenue track. Most streetcar projects don't have this. And that essentially gave us a separate test lab, if you will, to be able to try things out. It allowed us to test things before we actually got into the main loop, before we got into traffic. And because this runs in the center lane of the Hudson non-revenue the Hudson Road, it allows us to do things there and move either direction without being concerned about traffic. So in the future, Oklahoma City has the ability to test new things that they want to try on their streetcars, or even offer to other streetcar systems to be able to say, hey, we need to test this. It's a national concern to be able to add this. We can test it in Oklahoma City because we can run in a non-revenue situation. So that half mile of Hudson is one of the unique things about Oklahoma City's streetcar project and a benefit for the future. Then we started towing the streetcar around the alignment to make sure it cleared everything, and then we would check platform clearances, and you can see the workman checking the gap. That gap has to be between 1.5 and 3 inches. So all those gaps were set to match that, and also to check and make sure they were matching the 14-inch level boarding requirement. A few pictures of some of the platforms we installed. That's just a sampling of all the different business districts that were installed, and 22 of them. Traction power substations, as I mentioned, there are 6 of them, and each one of them on the top left had an OG&E transformer with it. So coordinating with OG&E on this was a huge part of the project, and that is their transformer that they installed and will maintain. And it goes along with, you can see the picture there of TPSS-6, and the inside of the substation with just a little mini power station there with the entry all secured. Another thing about the location of the substations, we did it away from valuable frontage because everyone knew that these frontages that are on the streetcar line are going to be valuable real estate and a good place for development. So we didn't want a power station taking up that room, so we set them away from the alignment. That's why you ride the streetcar, you'll rarely see a traction power substation, whereas in other systems you will when you're riding them. We also were able to provide a redundant power supply, so the Bricktown Loop has 2 substations, and it can run most of the time on one, unless you have a special event. And then in the Midtown Loop, we have 3 up there, and it can run on 2 of them. So these are all that provides additional reliability and redundancy to your system, make sure you stay in service. And I mentioned the coordination with OG&E. So then, when the rail came in, and again, it's an impressive figure here, 904 tons of Austrian rail that went into this system. And I want to remind us of some of the things that happened when we ordered that rail, because those things are not necessarily true today. First of all, we had a favorable exchange rate of the euro versus the dollar at that time. We took advantage of that on that rail order. We had a favorable steel market. Steel prices were down, and they are not down anymore. And so that helped us with the price of the steel. And also, we had a good fuel price. Fuel prices were low, and so the shipping overseas to get it to the Port of Houston to truck it up to Oklahoma City, all that was as cheap as it had been for several years. And so we really had a perfect storm on the order of the rail, and it saved the project budget. You can see there the 2,800 track feet of pre-curved rail. And in addition to that, we had about 13 switches, 7 of them power and 6 manual switches that have now been installed. So it's kind of fun to look at all the numbers on a project like this. There's some pretty impressive numbers. 62,000 feet, or about 12 miles of saw cutting to be able to put all this in our streets. 29,000 feet, or about 5.5 miles of track slab, 6,400 tons of asphalt pavement, 7,000 square feet of concrete pavers. That's enough to pave the inside of a few houses, I would say. And look at all the electrical wire, 9.5 miles of wire, 9.5 miles of train signal cable. That's a lot of wire that went in our streets. I also wanted to mention the safety record of this project, because that is a huge success. We had 3 minor injuries as we did the job, but nothing major, and we always had the emphasis, we want to make sure everyone goes home every night and sees their family. And we also noticed things as we went that could be a potential problem and corrected them as we went. To do a project of this size for as long as we worked in the city streets and all the dangerous conditions that we're experiencing, to be able to look back and say no one got seriously hurt is a huge success to us. I wanted to be able to acknowledge some of my design team. You can see there some of the things that Jacobs did as we went, but our big partner on this was AECOM, and it was a pleasure to be able to work together with them. Really, either company could have done it on our own, but the fact that we did it together, I think, sort of sharpened each other as we went. And we had reviewers that, one company was doing something, the other company was reviewing. So it really was a good checks and balances as we did it. SOJ was our project advisor. Of course, Rick Gustafson was a huge help as we went. Hans Butzer helped look at the original architecture of our stops. TEC looked at the traffic through the intersections and all that striping and signaling that we did as we went. And then Lemke Land Survey was our design surveyor. And then the construction team. So obviously, Herzog Stacy Woodbeck had the overall joint venture and did most of it. C3M was our pre-qualified power system contractor. TLS, local contractor working on the traffic signals, pedestrian signals. Rudy, you can see all the things they did, a major player, local project for them, and then Pier Drillers putting in all those foundations, and then plus 48 more subcontractors and suppliers that are not on this list. So just a massive team to be able to pull off this in the 2 years that we did it. And so in conclusion, we had a successful schedule. We delivered the promise to the public about when it was going to be done and when it was going to be open. We had budget success. So we've been able to deliver all this within the budget that was identified. We had an extraordinary delivery compared to predecessors, and I really want to bring that home, is that if you talk to other systems that have done streetcars, they will usually tell you a story about some delay that they had and how they had to explain to their public why it's not ready. The streetcars aren't here yet. We're waiting on them. The track isn't done yet. There's always a story, and we don't have a real good story to tell other than we got everything done when we were supposed to get it done. And that is a huge effort on the part of throughout the city staff, the consulting team, contracting team. So we're really proud of that. And if you look at the value of your system, dollars per track mile of what we put in, and the type of system we had in terms of the streetcars, the platforms, the quality of our track, if you look at all those factors and you look at the cost per mile of what we've done, we're one of the best, if not the best, in the United States on the value that we did on this project. As I mentioned, excellent team throughout. Everyone has been a pleasure to work with. Everyone works hard. It's a get-her-done type team. And finally, it's expandable. So whenever you're ready to do your expansion, it's well-positioned to do that. Whether you go east on 4th or out on Northwest Highway, you're in a position to be able to tie onto those points and be able to do that. Your maintenance facility is expandable to go to a higher number of streetcars. So there's a lot of features that are ready to go when you're ready to consider that expansion. And that's it. That's the presentation today.
Nathaniel?
So I wasn't at the committee meeting yesterday, so I wasn't able to give Doug and the team, my congratulations and thanks for everything, but just really wanted to very impressed, delivering on time, on budget. I'm really proud to be a part of that committee, and I was just so impressed with the group of city staff and all the consultants and contractors. So I just want to say thank you to that. And so we didn't have a quorum yesterday, I don't believe, and so, but certainly, I would want to move to approve this a final completion of the main line.
Is there a second? Second. All right. Further discussion? Bob, questions?
Just a real quick comment. I was struck, if you look at the picture on page 9, it's the pictures of the platform construction. It caught my eye, the picture of Automobile Alley. You have a picture of the streetcar at a stop with a horse-drawn carriage behind it. And I thought, what a contrast that represents. So.
Yeah. I noted that as well. Yeah. Good picture.
Any other questions or comments? Well, I want to congratulate Nathaniel and Zane and the subcommittee. They've had a lot of bumps, some caused because we moved the convention center location, and they were flexible, and they really got this done on time and on budget. It was a fantastic team effort, and I congratulate all of you. And in your presentation, maybe, if you wanted to give Nathaniel and his subcommittee some credit for the exchange rate, the fuel prices, and the steel prices, nobody will know. So anyway, it is great that we had that fortuitous, those things happen during the time you were ordering the steel. And a lot of that, of course, Doug, goes to good planning. And you guys just did a great job, your whole team, and I offer my congratulations to all of you. Anybody else? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Thank you, Doug.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I hope it isn't the last time we see you, Doug. All right, that brings us to the next item, which is new business. And under new business, I just wanted to mention one thing. Cecilia isn't here today, but you all saw her picture in the paper this morning. She has become the first woman and the first African-American to be chairman of the Oklahoma Secondary Schools Activity Association. So all the training that all of you have done for Cecilia to get her ready for this big job, she has now done it. Now, I just wanted the minutes to show that we congratulate Cecilia. That is not only a big responsibility, but an historic day for Oklahoma, and we're all proud of her. Okay, any other new business?
Maybe now is also the time to congratulate Nathaniel for being named to the World Economic Forum Young Global Leader Program.
Yeah.
Which is an honor for anyone worldwide, and definitely for you from Oklahoma City. You represent us well.
Congratulations, Nathaniel. Anything else? All right. Are there any subcommittees that have a report to make today, other than what we've already heard? I guess I'll just mention this because Dee was so nice to participate in it. But we did have a meeting this past Monday of a committee that has been put together to consider art for the convention center. You want to give us a couple minutes of that, Dee?
As everything else the city does, it was very well planned. I was so impressed on how they take so much time and effort into placing the right art in the right place. And I don't think we're supposed to really talk about it, but I will say that it is bringing us in the future, and the future is looking great. So
good. Thanks. All right. Next item is informational item. Anything? I know you've had a chance to see those. Anything you want to lift up, David?
This is on here just because we did this via city contract. One of the things that we did on the Will Rogers Trail and on the Draper Trail was put the MAPS 3 logo on the trail itself, and we hadn't done that on the river trail. So this puts those logos on the river trail.
Great. Questions for David on that? All right. David, your update. Anything else you want to add?
I think we've talked about a lot of the projects, the new projects that will be starting at the river. We talked about senior wellness. I will tell you that meetings are still going on for Wellness Center 3 in finding a site for that project. Convention Center, I would encourage you, if you haven't been by there lately, drive by on Robinson and look at that building. It's really starting to look exciting. You can start to see exactly how big a building that is that on paper didn't probably look that big to you, but it is a very large building, and I know it's going to be very beautiful. Fairgrounds, we've got some more projects in the works on that. Everything else we've covered, so that's all I have.
All right. Next item, any comments by the board members? Hearing none. Staff, David, Carol, anybody? Are we doing okay legally, Carol? Oh, love to hear that. Okay. This is also a chance for any citizens that are here that would like to be heard. We have a familiar face. Michael Mize. Did I get your name right?
I am both a citizen and a proud resident of Ward 8. I am here as a citizen and resident of Oklahoma City today to offer some thank yous personally on my part. You've probably noticed I haven't been around a lot. I have effectively retired from my responsibilities at ADG, which means my involvement with MAPS 3 has effectively come to an end. But I want to thank some people. I want to thank ADG for giving me the opportunity to work with all of you and to give me the resources and the people who helped make my job so much easier and who helped make some of these projects as successful as they were. I want to thank David and his staff, and that goes back to Eric too. Eric and his staff. He started this, but David's been here for the bulk of time. People just don't have any idea how hard David and his team work behind the scenes. The amount of work that goes on that isn't public is just phenomenal. They're dedicated, they work hard, and it was great to have an opportunity to work with them. Most of all, I want to thank the people who are sitting here today, those who couldn't be here today, and those who came before you, and all of your subcommittees as well. Your dedication, your diligence, and your passion to try to make this a very successful program is something that I don't know a lot of citizens in Oklahoma City understand. The amount of time that you have spent, and if as I'm looking at the group that's up here today, you all started at the beginning. You've been here for 9 years or more as dedicated volunteers and representatives of Oklahoma City. And on behalf of them, I want to thank you all and ask you to thank your subcommittees on my behalf as well. Thank you.
Mike, stay there a moment. I want to tell you something. You were here from day one for all of us.
I got paid. You didn't.
I do. Well, I guess they knew how to value the service. I do want to say that you have been a great partner in this, and the great success that we've enjoyed so far, and as we come to completion, I know that we will continue to enjoy. Much of it is attributable to you and to your staff, but to you personally. You've been here for us. You attended every meeting, every subcommittee member, every subcommittee meeting. All of us were a collection of people who didn't understand exactly what we were going to be seeing and hearing, and you've been our eyes and ears, you've been our explanation, you've been our voice when we needed you, and no one gets more credit for the success of MAP 3 than you, and I offer you my heartfelt congratulations.
I truly appreciate that. I mean, as I said before, this is a huge team effort, and I was just happy to be a part of that team.
We were glad we had you. MVP.
Thank you all.
All right. Yes. Anybody else? All right. Mike Dover has moved that we adjourn, and Kim seconded the motion. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.